was driving past my childhood home on a Sunday afternoon. I do it sometimes, not out of sentimentality exactly, just habit. When I noticed the new mailbox, it was a different color. Blue where ours had been black. Small thing. But I slowed down and looked more carefully, and there was a different car in the driveway, different curtains in the front window. A child's bicycle on the porch that I did not recognize. I parked. I sat there for a minute. Then I called my mother. She answered on the third ring. I said, "Mom, did you sell the house?" A pause. "Oh, honey, we were going to tell you." Were. Past tense. My parents had sold my childhood home, the house I grew up in, the house where my father had lived for 33 years and had not told me. The proceeds, I would learn over the following days, were approximately $312,000. Of that, they had given $240,000 to my brother Marcus and kept $72,000 for themselves. They had not told me they were selling. They had not offered me any portion of the proceeds. They had not consulted me about any part of the decision. I'm going to tell you this whole story. By the end of it, I think you'll understand why that Sunday afternoon in the driveway was not the real injury. It was just the moment the injury became visible. Hello and welcome. Subscribe before we continue. It's quick and it helps us keep going. Now let's begin. The house was on a street in a mid-sized city in Ohio. 3 bedrooms. A yard with a willow tree that my father had planted from a seedling the year before I was born. A front porch where we had done the things front porches are for. Summer evenings, holiday decorations, watching weather move in from the west. My parents had bought it in 1987 for $76,000. In the 36 years they had owned it, the neighborhood had changed, improved, technically, and the house had become worth significantly more. My father died 4 years ago, heart failure sudden at 68. My mother had lived in the house alone since then. She had said multiple times across multiple conversations that she intended to stay there, that it was where she and my father had built their life, that she couldn't imagine leaving. I had believed her. My brother Marcus is 38, 3 years older than me. He runs a landscaping business that has been, with some notable exceptions, a vehicle for ongoing financial difficulty. The business is not the problem. The business is fine. He has real clients, real revenue, a small crew. The problem is Marcus's relationship to money, which is characterized by a persistent inability to accumulate it. Whatever comes in tends to go out, in ways that resist full accounting. He has borrowed from my parents 3 times that I know of, in amounts totaling approximately $45,000. He has repaid approximately $8,000 of that. Marcus is not a bad person. He works hard. He loves his kids. He has 2, ages 9 and 11, who are wonderful. He is genuinely warm-hearted in his dealings with people. He is also, has always been, the child my parents protected most fiercely and most resourcefully. After the phone call in the driveway, I drove to my mother's apartment. She had moved. Also, without telling me, she was now in a rental 2 miles from the old house. She told me the story over tea, in the careful manner of someone who has been rehearsing the telling for a while. She and Marcus had decided together to sell the house. Marcus had approached her about it 6 months earlier. His business needed capital, a new truck, expanded equipment. He had asked whether she would consider selling and giving him a portion. She had agreed. I asked if she had considered telling me. She said she knew I would have objected, and she didn't want to have that argument. I said, "So you made the decision and presented me with a fact." She said, "It was our house, mine and your father's. I had the right to do what I chose." She was not wrong, legally. The house was hers. She could sell it. She could give the proceeds to anyone she chose. No law required her to tell me, include me, or give me anything. She was also, in some less legible way, wrong. And I think she knew it. My father and I had a conversation about the house 2 years before he died. We were sitting on the back porch, late summer evening, and I don't remember how the topic came up. Something about neighbors, a house down the street selling. He said, somewhat out of nowhere, "This place will be yours and Marcus's eventually. I want you to know that." She said he didn't mean it as a legal promise. She said he was speaking generally. Maybe that's true. I don't know. He's not here to ask. He said, "I know. I'm just telling you because I want you to know what I intend." He died without a formal will. Ohio intestacy laws applied. Everything went to my mother, which was appropriate. But my father had said what he'd said. I raised this in the conversation with my mother. I said, "Dad told me this house was going to be mine and Marcus's." She said he didn't mean it as a legal promise. She said he was speaking generally. I called Marcus the day after I went to my mother's apartment. He was less apologetic than my mother. He said he had needed the money, my mother had agreed, and it wasn't anyone's job to ask my permission. He said, "It's not your house, Nadia. It was never your house." I said, "I know whose house it was. I'm asking why no one told me." He said, "Because you would have made it complicated." That sentence has stayed with me, not because it's wrong. I would have engaged with the complexity, which is apparently the same as making it complicated. But because it revealed something, the decision not to tell me was not an oversight or an omission. It was a strategy, a deliberate choice to act and present me with a fact rather than include me in a process. That is a different thing from forgetting to mention something. It is a choice to exclude. I want to be honest about the layers of this. There was the financial layer. The house had likely had some understanding of inheritance attached to it, informally, and that was gone. There was the procedural layer. I had been excluded from a significant decision about a family asset. But the thing that actually leveled me was the willow tree. My father planted it. He tended it for 30 years. When he died, I thought about that tree specifically, how it would outlive him, how it would be there. The new owners would have no idea. They might cut it down. I know a tree is a tree, but grief doesn't always organize itself around proportional objects. The tree was the thing I could not stop thinking about. I had to figure out what I actually wanted from this situation, because wanting something vague and unspecified is how you stay angry forever without resolution. I did not want the money back. My mother had the legal right to do what she did. Marcus had received it, and likely spent significant portions of it. Going down that road was expensive and unlikely to succeed. I did not want to punish Marcus. I was hurt by what he had done, but I understood it. He had seen a solution to a problem and he had pursued it. That is what Marcus does. He is not the person I was most hurt by. The person I was most hurt by was my mother. Because she had been the one who knew, who heard my father say what he said on the porch, who had been living in that house with 33 years of our family in it, and who had decided that my feelings about that were less important than Marcus's financial situation. What I wanted was for her to understand what that felt like, not to punish her for it, to have her know. I asked my mother to have dinner with me, alone, without Marcus, about 3 weeks after I found out. We went to a restaurant she liked. I waited until we had ordered. Then I told her what I wanted to say, which I had thought about carefully. I said, "I don't want the money. I understand you had the legal right to do what you did. I'm not here to punish you or ask for anything specific." She looked surprised. I said, "What I need you to understand is what it felt like to drive past my childhood home and discover that it had been sold without anyone telling me. Dad told me that house would be mine and Marcus's. You knew he said that. You made a different choice and you didn't tell me. I found out by accident." She was quiet. I said, "I understand Marcus needed help. I understand you wanted to help him. But the way you did it told me something about how I rank in your thinking, and I need you to understand that it hurt. Not the money, the invisibility." My mother cried. She said she hadn't thought about it that way. She said she had been so focused on Marcus's problem that she hadn't thought about what the absence of a conversation would mean to me. I said, "I know. That's the part that hurts." My mother and I have talked more in the months since that dinner than we had in the preceding 2 years. Not about the house specifically, about the patterns it revealed, about how she thinks about me relative to Marcus, about what I need from her and whether she can give it. She is not a villain. She is a 70-year-old woman who lost her husband and was trying to help her son and did not realize that helping him the way she did was a message to me. She is trying to understand that now. I believe the trying is genuine. Marcus and I are cordial. We will probably never be close in the way siblings should be. He is not capable of the kind of reflection this situation requires, or he is not willing, and I have stopped expecting it. The money is gone. The house is someone else's. The willow tree is still there. I drove past it last month and it has new growth at the edges, the light green of early spring. The new owners appear to be taking care of it. I thought about my father when I saw it. I thought about the evening on the porch when he said what he said. I thought about how he meant it, even if it wasn't legally binding. How meaning something and making it legally real are two different things, and how the gap between them is where so many family stories live. I am 35. I live 20 minutes from my mother. I have dinner with her every few weeks. It is careful still. There is a new quality of honesty between us that did not exist before, which I value even though it arrived through pain. I have not gone back to the old house. There is no reason to. It is someone else's home now. But I have kept a small piece of it in a way. There was a photograph of the willow tree that my father had framed and hung in his office, which my mother let me take when she moved. It is on my bookshelf. He planted it the year before I was born. It is still growing. I think that is enough. Thank you for watching. If this story meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.